Right.
So,
It's good with your cat in the background doing some posing too. So
well, the cat is an all-star. It's got a television contract that we're hoping will lead to us getting
I,
lots
I
of acclaim, right?
yes, I think I've seen your cat on Cats of Instagram. So
Yes. So welcome. Uh, we are getting ready to rock and roll, Mr. Conover.
so yeah, welcome to the Anteater Advancement Program. First time we've done a summer program, and our goals are for you guys to have fun and to learn some stuff. We don't want to make it overly burdensome. We're not going to be flooding you with assignments if you don't want that, or Zoom meetings if you don't want that. But if you are looking for lots of things to do, we will have a lot of opportunities for you to learn different stuff and participate in live meetings if you want. In order for you to get credit each day, you have to somehow demonstrate that you're participating. So that's why we have these daily check-ins that you see in our Google Classroom. So I think we'll have one for each of our 3 subjects. You do not have to participate in all 3 of our classes. You can just participate in the ones that you want. And you don't have to do the live Zoom meetings if the times don't work for you. We know that some of you aren't going to be able to attend every session and different things like that. So we understand that you still have, maybe a challenging circumstance with a quarantine still going on somewhat. And so, we want to be as flexible as we can with you guys. A lot of you are also doing other summer programs, and we still want you to do those. Yeah, I could go into the specifics on math. Did you want to add anything, Mr. Berger or Mr. Larson?
I want to add a lot, but I was hoping for balloons and a band, but we'll settle for just
give a clap. There we go.
Right, for just squares. Students, ladies and gentlemen, I'm so excited about this. I know there's a lot of challenges this year that we're facing, and even with this, but these are just obstacles, and we overcome all obstacles. And we've designed a program that I think is going to be exciting and interesting, and you can move in and out of different things. It's all here for you. You are here to learn, and we are providing you all sorts of opportunities. And so as we talk about our specific programs in just a moment, let me just first say that I am excited to be working with you. Some of you I know, but not many of you. So for those of you that I know, it's good to see you again. For those of you who I haven't yet met, I am the AP Government and AP Psychology teacher. We're bringing law and order to the school this year. It'll support mock trial, but is not a requirement for mock trial. And it's not a requirement to do mock trial if you're in law and order. This is just another opportunity for you to learn about as much as you can and want to learn about. So it's a pleasure to get to meet y'all in this forum and to have opened the door to 48 of you so far. And we have, I think, Matt, over 100 signed up, right? So we're setting all sorts of world records, and you guys should be proud and honored to be a part of this as well.
And for my part, I'd just like to introduce myself. I recognize probably 3 or 4 of the names, and that's a consequence of me teaching AP Government the last couple of years. I also teach psychology, but that tends to be a senior focused class as well. So my name is Mr. Larson. I am also the activities director, so that's how I recognize some of you is through ASB, or it's I'm the Key Club advisor as well. So I see a couple of Key Clubbers in here also. This next year, it's looking like I'll be teaching freshmen with the AP Human Geography class, but also psychology as well. So I still hope to teach some of you, and then for if we have any of the freshmen, incoming freshmen, hopefully I'll get to teach you as well. And yeah, I guess what I'm excited for is as we're kind of going into this, next year, which has a lot of unknowns about it, we do know that there's going to be a lot of the digital format encouraged. So for that, I look forward to, me as a teacher being able to exercise, my ability to teach through this new format. So trying to do some digital stuff will help me as a teacher. I think you as students as well, getting used to this summer program will make you only that much better students this next year. And honestly, when you go into college as well, there's going to be a lot of online classes you'll teach or that you'll take. So, you know, for all of us, I think it's a good experience. It's going to be different. It's going to be fun. I'm excited to be working with Dr. Berger and Mr. Conover, because I think, you know, having two of the best teachers on campus next to me will only make me a better teacher as well. So, yeah, I really do look forward to this. I think we have a cool concept. We each have 3 very different things that we're hosting. And yeah, I think that for you guys as students, the fact that you're choosing to show up for educational opportunities is the way you should approach your education, rather than only doing things because you're going to get, you know, points or be punished. Is not the way to look at your education. This is interesting. There's room for growth for you. And I mean, it's just cool that you guys are taking this opportunity to make yourselves better. Like that's what I wish every single kid on campus could look at what you guys are doing right now and follow suit. So thank you. Thank you all for being here. Do we want to kind of go into each of our individual classes? Does that sound like a good way to kind of proceed forward, Berger?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Matt, do you want to start then?
Sure. Mr. Berger, can you assign me to be the host as well? So that way I can share my screen.
Too. I'm learning this, and I've never had such a demand before. So let me see if I can figure it out. Make host. It's just make host. Matt, make Matt Conover the meeting host. Change host. You're at the helm.
Uh-oh, now I got to do the waiting room. I already got one person. Jeez.
Right.
All right, how do you admit them? Okay, cool. So for math, you guys are all in different classes. You guys took different classes last year, and you're going to be taking different classes this upcoming year. So it's going to have to be very differentiated. And so what I've set up in Google Classroom is a calendar with assignments so that you can see kind of based on what class you're in, what you should be doing. So I'm going to try to share that calendar right now. All right, so the calendar will look like this. And you will see that at the bottom, let's try to move all my stuff out of here. At the bottom, there are different tabs based on which class you're going to be taking. So there's algebra fundamentals. So those are for people going into either 8th grade or 9th grade or 10th grade if you feel like that's something you want to work on. Then, sorry, I got my Zoom stuff in the way. Can't click on it. Then we have other, math analysis, Calc AB, Calc BC. So each of these that you click on, you'll see that there are assignments posted. I only have a couple or maybe the whole week's worth right now. There are due dates. Now, these due dates, let's be clear, they're not real due dates. You don't have to absolutely submit by these dates. If you're really busy that day and you need an extra day, that's no problem. But I've learned, and you guys have all given me feedback, that we should have due dates and expected deadlines because you're more likely to complete them with expected deadlines. So that's what those are. Video resources and other things. So you'll see as you click through the different subjects that I have different things for you to do based on what class you're in. Some of you maybe aren't sure exactly which one you should be going to if you're an 8th grader or a 9th grader. So we can just talk about that once I have my first Zoom meeting. My Zoom meetings are going to be at 2 p.m. I hope that works for you. You don't have to attend if it doesn't, but I definitely would like you to. We'll be working together, doing different breakout rooms. So based on what subject you're in, you're going to kind of be in a group with those other people, and I will bounce between the different breakout rooms and interact with you. I will probably have specific focuses for each day, like maybe on a Tuesday I'll focus on calculus, and on a Wednesday I'll focus on geometry, things like that. But we'll see how that goes. That schedule is going to be flexible based on what you all want to do. So in addition to this calendar where you'll find everything, I will be posting there's a daily form. So this math check-in form that you'll fill out every day. And by filling this out, you have shown me, or you've shown us that you are participating and that you've done something for that day. So you have to do this every day. All it asks is what you did. So if you didn't do much, that's fine. If that day you didn't do any math because you were focusing on other things, you can write that. That's completely fine. There's also a spot for you to ask questions, write down anything. If you want me to look at your work that you're submitting, I'm going to have a lot of different work that's submitted. I'm not going to be able to look at everybody's assignment, every problem. But if you have a particular problem, hey, Mr. Conover, can you look at this one? I want some feedback on my work. Then that way I know what to look at. Yeah. So I think that's the specifics for mine. So yeah. Do you want to take any questions real quick on the math portion before I turn it over to somebody else?
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
So let's say that I'm a student, I don't quite make it to your Zoom that day, but I do some math, something or other, I spend some time with it, or I spend some time also doing something else. What time do I need to fill out that Google Doc by? That's
a good question. I put 10 p.m. on all my due dates. That's kind of the thing I've been using the last couple of years. I'm trying to think about how we're supposed to take attendance. I feel like earlier would be better, just because we're supposed to submit an attendance every day. So if you guys were able to maybe say what you were going to work on, if you were going to work on it later, but I think we can always go back the next day and maybe fix the attendance. I guess I don't really know how attendance is going to work. So I'll just say 10 p.m.
And if we need to adjust the submission, we'll let everybody know, I guess.
Yeah. We're not sure, the three of us, we haven't been given clear guidance on how we're supposed to mark attendance. So that's why we're a little bit unsure. So, but yeah, if you can just fill out that form by 10 p.m., that would be perfect. Does anybody else have any questions for the math portion? We'll have our first meeting at 2 p.m. today.
Okay, I'll go next. Welcome to the Law and Order portion of the Summer Enrichment Program. The Law and Order portion will be a little less structured than Mr. Conover's. I really am just going to make things available. And if something piques your interest, I want you to engage in it and do it. But they're all things that if you're enrolled in the course come the fall, you'll want to hold on to, and you'll have already been exposed to that particular assignment. You'll have some work that you've done on it. You will be doing work that will be worth points in the fall. I also have a Google form, so you'll want to address that. But the type of assignments I'm going to be providing are just going to be little legal vignettes. The first one I've already posted has to do with some shipwrecked sailors. If you haven't seen it yet, they happen to survive. They're in a lifeboat and things take a bad turn for them before they're rescued, and they wind up drawing lots and eating one of the people who is with them. And the question is this murder? And so we're going to talk about that. We're going to look at what constitutes murder. And these little vignettes will pop up throughout the course. There's also going to be the opportunity to get a head start on mock trial. So what does mock trial look like? What is involved? What are the roles? How do we compete? We'll get you a head start on that. And even if you're not interested in mock trial, participating in the club and competing, but you might be interested in learning what goes on in the courtroom, all of that stuff is going to be available for you to engage in. But I cannot resist discussing government and politics, and everything is happening so quickly in the world today that I'll use my time to have discussions and provide lecture about topics regarding government, politics, the law, and things that are happening on a daily basis. So I have the Google form that you'll need to fill out as well on a regular basis. And we can move in and out of the broad range of subjects as your interest is peaked in different categories and classifications. So even if you aren't enrolled in Law and Order and you are a math focused, but feel free to check out the classroom. You're welcome to it. Check out the podcasts. Take advantage of all that is there for you. And I will be running live Zoom meetings at 10 a.m. each morning. And so the reason I do that is because really government, and I know you guys sleep in so late, but 10 o'clock is already 1 o'clock East Coast time. The capital of this country is Washington, D.C. We're just getting up. They're already having lunch. So we want to be aware of what is happening that day. I'll try to record my little introductory session. And so if you can't make it to the live session, it means you won't be able to ask questions live, but I'll try to record that. I don't know how successful that will be, but we'll see. And then we'll move into a discussion of whatever the assignment was, and we'll get you going in that direction with some material for you to be able to work on your own outside of the Zoom classroom. So I'll now take any questions if I didn't explain anything clearly enough. Cool.
Okay. Well, then to introduce my section of the class, I think I'll start by talking about kind of like what's going on in the country or what we've kind of experienced, to then kind of introduce what oral history is, and then we'll talk about podcasting. I'll talk about the Google Classroom that I have set up as well, and then maybe the goals of kind of what I would hope to produce as a consequence of this summer program. So obviously right now we've as a country and as a world, we've been dealing with COVID-19. And then more recently, we have the different protests that have been taking place as well. So, you know, as you guys are taking your different history classes, if you can reflect on real quick, like what were people's experiences like during the Great Depression? Julian, are you there?
Here.
Julian, how did people feel during the Great Depression?
Very downtrodden, I would say.
Okay. I think that's a good, definitely a really good response. Holly, are you there? I recognize you too. Yeah. Holly, what was people's experiences like during the Great Depression? I'll read your response. It doesn't have to be long. And while she's answering, everyone just think in your head, how did people experience the Great Depression? It's a time period that you all know about somewhat. So I'm sure you could all give like a kind of a quick answer about it. And I'm going to use that answer to kind of like push us forward into talking about what's going on today. It really does live up to the name, Great Depression. Yeah, so, you know, people en masse were depressed, right? That's kind of like a good, maybe black and white version of understanding history. But I want you to maybe now flash forward 70 years. And if we're the Great Depression then. So if you're thinking about how people in the future will write about this corona, outbreak, how are historians going to talk about it? Are they going to say that Americans all across the country were scared, they were in their houses, they didn't know what was going on, and they were depressed, and they just didn't know what was, like, they couldn't handle it. And if you think of it like that, obviously now we all have very, very different experiences throughout this entire Corona experience. So to say that everybody in the country during the Great Depression was depressed, poor, hungry, scared, that's not necessarily true. There are a lot of different groups at that time period too, many of which were fine. 25% of Americans didn't have jobs, but 75% did. So a lot of families weren't as affected as maybe the history books would have, would talk about. And that doesn't mean that it wasn't a horrible, experience for the world at the time. Just like right now with the Corona outbreak, there are a lot of families that were devastated by this experience. But I think a lot of you know that maybe your family, hopefully, the dominant feeling wasn't fear, but maybe boredom. So I mean to introduce that only to say, what is the point of oral history? Oral history is trying to get regular people's accounts of historical events and to put it on record because it's worth talking about. If you only understand historical events from, like one specific point of view, then that's not true to history. That's not exactly how everyone experienced it, right? So to say that everyone in the Great Depression was depressed, that's not true, right? So we're trying to hopefully give future historians a more accurate depiction of how normal people experience events. And I think that, when we talk about Santa Ana is a unique community, right? So how even just the Corona outbreak was experienced in Santa Ana is different than how it was experienced in Irvine. And I think that's worth talking about, that's worth recording. And I think that your stories are worth recording too. You are the students who are experiencing it right now. So how cool for like historians of the future to be able to look back and they go, actually, I can actually listen to multiple students talk about how they experienced it. They didn't seem scared, they seemed bored. Or maybe they were scared, or maybe their families were impacted. But it's worth having your stories on record. And not just yours, but maybe your families too. So as we get into oral history, that's kind of the point, is to get more people's voices in the historical record rather than just, people who write a book. And for podcasting, I think this is a unique period in time where podcasting is becoming a more dominant media form. People kind of are looking for a more long-form conversation. I think that even teachers think that you students can only handle a 3.5-minute YouTube video. Anything after that, your attention span is gone. And I don't think that's true. I think as long as the content is interesting, you guys will listen to something for 4 hours, So as we look at, maybe how that medium is growing, maybe there's a space for you in that, in that field. So, maybe you want to learn how to be interviewed, or maybe you want to learn how to conduct interviews. Dr. Berger and myself do have a podcast that we've done a season of. So we do have experience, in the field. And I just think it's something fun to start exploring. So with all that in mind, for the Google Classroom section that I have set up, mine will not be daily assignments either. I will try to do daily check-ins just so that you can tell me something that's on your mind maybe, or just show me that there's some interaction between you and my content. But I kind of want us to be working towards a bigger project. So I want you to first maybe start reflecting on this whole Corona outbreak, situation and how it's actually impacted you. I think that's good for you in the future anyways, to kind of, start trying to understand things. Math podcasts could do it. But also, I want you to ask yourself a certain set of questions about it that maybe we can, as a team, come up with either better questions or more questions that then you all could go out and do an interview with someone in your house. Because, I think your mom's story through this experience is worth recording. I think history would benefit from learning from your family. It's not, again, history is not just it's not written by only those who can write a book. It's for anyone who lived the experience. And that's the cool thing about oral history is as long as they can talk, they can submit their version of history. So I think it'd be cool if we kind of start to create this Santa Ana oral history collection. And because we've obviously been living through a period in history that generations and generations from now will all be studying this in their textbooks. You do know that, right? That 60 years from now, there's going to be a whole chapter on 2020. And who else knows what's going to happen this year? So I guess that is be checking in on my Google Classroom. I'm going to be making things available. The very first thing, there will be a whole textbook for 2020. I know, geez. But, you know, be in contact because I want to kind of have this be an ongoing conversation with you. The first thing that I want you to fill out for that Google form is maybe what times would work best for you to work, for us to work together. And just like Berger and Conover said, it doesn't need to be that you have to be there every day. This will be an ongoing thing. I'll be making any announcements to the whole group. So even if you want to start doing this a month, or maybe not a month, but 2 weeks from now, that's fine. Jump in at any point and start helping out because it's going to be a cool project. Because my eventual goal is that I get Valley High School to spend $10,000 or so to build a recording studio in my classroom so that we can start actually doing professional quality oral histories. So if you want to learn to be like a sound engineer, if you want to learn how to like set up a studio, I would love to have you be a part of that process. Or if you want to be with one of my like professional interviewers, that sounds fantastic. Then we can eventually, maybe on like, you know, back to school night or any of those nights where we have families on campus, maybe you could bring in people and conduct interviews. So, you know, that's my eventual big goal for the year. But I just think we have a really cool opportunity here to start something that will make it so historians forever from now can look back at your generation of Santa Ana citizens and say, what was their view? How did they experience it? How did they experience America or this particular event or these protests, whatever it is? And it's just going to help society to have your guys' voices on record. So I'm looking forward to it. And again, I think it's going to be like a really cool experience. So I don't know if that was succinct at all. I kind of just talked a bunch. So do you guys have any questions about, thank you, Angelica, maybe where this will go or what it would look like? Do you have any questions?
That's what I do.
Does your dad have any questions? Okay. My dad. Where should we go from here, gentlemen?
Alexandra, do you have a question? It looks like your hand's raised. I don't know. No? Okay.
Once, going twice.
Yeah, if you guys want to do the early session with me, we can do coffee time with Mr. Larson. If you want to do the lunch time with Mr. Larson, that's fine too. Whatever you're feeling like.
I have a question for, are there any of you that are taking a summer school class? Any students taking a summer school class? Different than this one?
I know at least one particular student that is. Okay, so there's a couple that are. So what can we do for them?
So are you guys in that right now? Is that what's the schedule like for you? Because you guys are here. Are you multitasking? It's 9 to 12. Okay.
Matt, let me interrupt you for a second. Anything else on the grand opening? I think this is a long video, and I'm starting to think about time to upload. And
No, I think we're good on that.
So congratulations. Don't go. Matt's doing some other things. And Law and Order, the Zoom is going to just follow right after this. But I do want to just close out the grand opening.
We're excited to have you all. Thank you for showing up and signing up. And like Mr. Larson said, choosing to learn.